So Marcus, let's talk about the industry and let's talk about why it is a great place to work. And you and I have both had good, long careers in this industry. What is it that you love about this industry?
I absolutely love working with people. It's quite simple as that. That's what the industry is about. It's about people. And it doesn't matter what angle you come at, whether you're a person that works as a waiter or if you work in HR, if you work in sales and marketing, it's all about people.
Simple, really, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
Kind of the deal. So when we think about kind of the steps and the opportunities presented us, and if I look at kind of my friend circle is fundamentally derived from my hospitality circle. That's the simple fact of life, and I'm guessing it's pretty similar for you.
Absolutely. I recruited my best friend.
Oh, nice. Did that go well?
Yeah. Yes. I literally interviewed him for a job at Carluccio's, and he ended up being my best friend.
Oh, that's top draw. Oh, okay. Good. So he wasn't your best friend before, he just became that. I like that.
He became that, yeah. So, that's a great example that, when you work in hospitality, you're creating friends, you're making friends all the time. That's why I love hospitality, because obviously the diversity that you have within businesses, and all businesses are different and they look for different people. You're always going to come across people that you're going to love.
Nice. And it's as simple as can be. I think this industry opens up so many opportunity for us, and it's opportunity to succeed, but it's opportunity to build relationships, and that's those, and build lasting relationships. So when we think about that, what tips have you got for me to start to really kind of nurture those relationships and build them and grow them? How should I be doing it? Where should I be looking to go and kind of put that into action?
It's obviously different, me interviewing people. Obviously not everybody interviews people. The job seekers can go about finding information about companies by following people on social media. There's many platforms out there which people give a lot of information. You can start building relationships by communicating with them, and if you want to find out more information, you can get in contact with them, and it's quite an easy thing to do.
There's a lot of opportunities now, isn't it? I think social media has made it a really interactive environment where we can start to really kind of dip in and just kind of give an opinion, share a thought, share a perspective, and just really start to build that relationship up, so that maybe when a job does become available, then you're the person who's potentially kind of at the forefront of their thinking, because it's like, well, actually, I remember speaking to Marcus and he was pretty cool and I liked him, so maybe I should talk to him about this. So it's a really kind of simple tool to start to be able to do that. And you make a good point there about looking at kind of how people are demonstrating and giving of themselves. So let's use caterer.com as a good example. So caterer.com have got a great online presence. So on LinkedIn, what are they doing over on LinkedIn that really kind of makes you think, actually, yes, these are good, and these give me a good understanding of what they're about?
I think as a company, they demonstrate a lot through the webinars that they're doing. So they have guest speakers come on board, whether they're from a charity or from other businesses, could be recruiters, employers, and also the people that work within the team that have their own profiles as well, where they'll be adding information. So I've done an interview with them previously, probably about 2 months ago or so, and they were highlighting people that are doing good within the industry and through the times that we're going through now. They're putting lots of different content out there, which is useful information to listen to, which helps. But they're obviously highlighting lots of different businesses and the diversity of those businesses as well. And they're giving you the opportunity to meet new people, which is obviously very, very important, because they may not be people that you would necessarily come across when you're searching through whichever platform that you're on in social media. So, having a company out there that's giving you the opportunity to go out and meet new people. And obviously, once you've seen that, you can then go and get connected with them if it's a person that you resonate with and with everything that they're saying.
Nice. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's all of those webinars and things, there's a whole range, a cross section of people who are attending, who are watching, who are listening, and you can start to kind of share the conversations and share what is important to you with like-minded people. So you start to build those relationships up. So that's a good indicator. There are other brands out there who are sharing really openly the things that are massively important to them. So for me, Brewdog's always a really good example. I mean, they share a lot of stuff. There's no getting around it. But it does very much give you a really good understanding about what they are about as a business.
Absolutely. I think they're demonstrating they're at the forefront of a lot of different businesses out there and what they're trying to do differently to make themselves stand out and be a successful business. And there's lots of other companies out there doing exactly the same. But I think the key criteria of what they're actually doing is very positive. And I love that. I absolutely love that. I think in terms, if I was a job seeker looking for a business to get into that's doing all these great things and it's very sustainable, or the gearing to be even more sustainable, those are the kind of businesses I want to work with. No, I just find that very, very encouraging as a job seeker, that there's people out there giving this information out freely.
Well, it's inspiring, isn't it?
Useful.
Yeah, I mean, it is genuinely inspiring. I mean, I remember at the beginning of lockdown, they released the recipe for Punk IPA for home brewers to have a crack at Punk IPA. And I'm like, wow, I mean, how many other businesses are doing that? They're not. But again, that gives me an indicator of kind of culturally where they're at. And that's, as you say, there's a lot more businesses out there who are utilizing the tools that are available to them. So LinkedIn's a good one. Instagram's a good one. It gives you that good idea of kind of the visuals, and kind of they'll start to share some really nice stuff around the food. And if food is your passion, then that's a good place to be. If you're in for a conversation, Twitter, I guess, is always a useful one. So when you think about kind of which are the best employers, well, it's not about kind of naming names, but maybe think about some of the attributes that the best employers are demonstrating on some of these platforms and through the way they communicate. What would you be saying? Right, these are the points that would really draw me in potentially as an individual. I think
it's kind of interesting, because I don't think there are many companies that really shout about what they do. I know when I was working at the Ivy Collection, that was something we didn't do. Same at Carlitos, we didn't really shout about what we did, and we did amazing things. I'm not sure why, but I know there are a few companies out there that are very good in terms of addressing diversity and culture within the business, and celebrating not just being British and white, but they do everything about different cultures and religions. One really great example of a company out there doing great things on social media that people can follow and learn information from, and really understand whether it's a business that they want to go and work for, would be a company, I suppose, a bit like Dishoom, who do various posts on their heritage as a business and where they come from, to talking about well-being, to celebrating the teams. They do that quite a bit. I guess they do quite a bit in terms of celebrating and embracing diversity and religion. I know they do their massive thing every year where they take some of their team as well to Bombay. So they're constantly posting stuff, which kind of gets me excited. And if I was a job seeker looking to get into a business, and these are the kind of things that would get me excited about going to potentially working within a business, because they're doing such great things. And there's many companies out there that do great things as well. I'm not saying there isn't, but I think this is a really good example of how social media can be used to get the content that you want, to decide on whether a business is whether this business is a business that you want to work in. So
they're a great example of what you talked about earlier, where kind of different brands will use different social media platforms to deliver different parts of their messaging. So you mentioned kind of they talk a lot about their people and well-being. Where would that be that they're talking more around that area?
That would mainly be on LinkedIn. I think if you went on to something like Instagram, I think you'd have a part of that on there. But there'd be a lot more information possibly about their food and the restaurants. There'd be many pictures of different dishes that they produce, and quite a lot of information about the book that they do as well. So, which I've got.
A cookbook is it's the book of legends, isn't it? There's no getting around it.
Yeah, absolutely is. Yeah, but it's interesting about the information that you can find about a company and where you would go to find out the different types of information at the same time, because they're not necessarily all at one point.
So that's a really key point. If you look on one platform, that's not necessarily giving you the widest picture about what a brand or business is all about. It's about looking across all of the platforms and seeing which messaging they're giving out at different places and points. So LinkedIn, very much around the people. Instagram, very much around how beautiful the restaurants and the food is. Twitter, I think they do a bit of talking around kind of their story and that kind of thing. So there's a whole kind of cross section of getting a picture. And I think, as you say,
and I think collectively, when you've looked at all of them, you would have a very good picture of what a business is about and whether it is right for you.
So they're a great example. And I just say there's many other people doing it, but that's a really good, clear picture, a good example of how you can kind of tie it all together to give yourself that best chance of picking the right brand for you.
Definitely.
Top draw. So looking at it from, when we think about kind of why this is a great place to work, this industry, it is probably one of the truest meritocracies out there. And we were talking before we got started recording, and you and I both left school with minimal qualifications. I was a terrible student, if I'm honest with you. I don't want to judge you on that, and hold you. I was a horrendous student.
No, that's definitely not commenting on that.
Well, we've both done okay. So you were talking through your career. You started off as a pot washer, as did I. You ended up recruiting for Carluccio as one of the most amazing brands on the high street at one point, through to the Ivy collection, exclusive, amazing, beautiful businesses, and now obviously managing your own business and putting people into work. What do you think is it about hospitality that enabled you to do that following that journey?
I think I mean, it's probably like what I do now. I give lots of people advice and guidance, and I think having mentors in the businesses I've worked in helped massively. There's key stages throughout my career where I remember being sat down by somebody when I had done something wrong, or if I hadn't done something in the right way that it should have been done, and it's really learning from that and growing with it. And I think if we didn't have the right people in place to be able to give me that information, I probably wouldn't be here where I am now. Again, yes, I'm in control of my own destiny. But if I don't listen to that information that's given to me, then I'm not going to change, and I'll probably be somewhere completely different, doing something completely different as well.
So that tracked back beautifully to the very first thing you said at the start of this conversation. It's about people, and it's people who will share, people who will give of themselves, and people like you and me who will listen, who will take that on board and be open to that kind of guidance, that kind of mentoring, that coaching, and really be able to build on it.
Exactly. I remember working in one hotel. I used to be a DJ in my spare time as well. So I'd been away for the weekend, and I was due back on, I think it was a Monday morning something. And no fault of my own, I missed a coach from I think I was in Worcester at late at night, and I was on the next morning, and I didn't get into about 3 o'clock in the morning because I missed the bus. I had to walk 10 miles to get to the hotel, absolutely knackered. And I didn't wake up in the morning, and my general manager got wind of what had happened and the reason I hadn't started my shift. And he had a stern word with me and said, look, for your own good, I'm demoting you from your role into another role.
Wow.
And you can get back into that role if you start to perform in the way that we expect you to, kind of thing. And I went, that's fair.
Fair dues.
And I learned a lesson from it.
And then you go and put it back into action.
Yeah. So that I totally believe that things happen for a reason, and people who do these things to make you learn, they're doing it for a reason. They're not doing it out of spite. You need to control what you do, and if they see something that can potentially help you, they're going to do that.
I think as an industry, we're very lucky that we're surrounded by people who are invested in our success. Because if we are successful as individuals, then our businesses, our brands will absolutely be successful, and our guests will have amazing experiences.
Yeah, and I think there's lots of focus into having people be mentors and coaches within businesses to help people. whether that be a general manager and he's looking after his team, it's kind of giving them the tools to be able to do that as well. And I think from my experience of recruiting people, you know, when I was at Carlitos in particular, I would imagine that pretty much all the people that are brought into the business would really care about the development and the nurturing of the people within their business. And it was kind of crucial that you kind of build a pipeline and help those people grow within the pipeline. And it's not just necessarily learning how to do a job, it's about learning how to be a good human being as well at the same time.
I was chatting with Phil Eales, who's one of the co-founders of Honest
Mm-hmm.
Burgers yesterday, and he was talking about the idea of mentors, not managers. And I think that is a big mindset that runs through our industry. You know, we take time to and care to develop people and give
Mm-hmm.
them the opportunity to be the best version of themselves, which again, it's one of those things that we all love about what we do, is the honest answer.
It's about making sure people are set up for success. You know, we don't want to see people fail. I don't want to see people fail in an interview. So, you know, if I recruit somebody, I want them to be successful and I want them to grow. Even as a recruiter now, when I'm working with businesses, I want that to happen with them when I put them into a job. I want to see them grow. And working with like-minded people is pretty key to my business anyway.
Absolutely. Amazing, mate. That was very cool. Thank you very much for sharing and being open like that. Really appreciate it.
All right.
Top draw.
Thank you.